Welcome.
Yay.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and good night.
Lovely
I
day.
am joined by the lovely Coach Charity, as always. Excited to talk about this today. Awaken motivation with non-scale victories with Coach Charity. We're going to answer the who, the why, the what, the where, the when, the how
We got
right now.
that's a lot of
Charity, I'll let you start to take it away because I'm going to tag everyone in the comments and do that
okay.
whole shabacle. Let's start with why. Why should we care about non-scale victories? And maybe we could define a non-scale victory too.
Okay. Well, I think sometimes we get stuck on the number on the scale, and then that can have too much of an image, but and like how we're doing our work and stuff like that. So these are ways to celebrate little things along the way that has nothing to do with those numbers, like the way your clothes fit, your energy, how are you sleeping better? I mean, the list goes on. And the more we celebrate, the more positive things we can find. So we just keep feeding that positive feedback loop and keep showing up.
Okay, cool. So it will keep us more motivated. How will it motivate us? So like how would we get more motivated by celebrating non-scale victories? What's like the neuroscience behind this? What's the evidence that says, okay, if I do this thing, I will get more motivated?
Well, it's just like when you pick up your phone, you get that little squirt of dopamine in your brain. These non-scale victories do the same thing. They give you that little happy rush of energy and motivation. And who doesn't like putting on their pants and feeling better about it? Then you can move better. I mean, come on.
Yes. And like, of course there's it always going back to the human nature, right? Human nature
Mhm.
is always going to be moving away from pain and towards
Towards
pleasure.
pleasure, right?
So actions that we're doing, if you want to feel motivated, which motivation's just a feeling. If
Mhm.
you want to feel motivated and feel inspired to take action, you need these actions that you want to be motivated to go do
Right.
you have to connect pleasure to them and you
Mhm.
have to really connect not a lot of pain to them.
Right.
So we can talk about not connecting pain maybe another time, but to connect tremendous amount of motivation to or pleasure to actions, we have to reward yourself
Mhm.
for these actions that you're taking, which we actually talked about last week, awakening the 3 Gs, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
The
Yep.
gratitude, the glimmers, and the
Great.
grace. There it
Mhm.
is. But let's talk about what would be some non-scale victories that we should acknowledge. Like it's so easy to get caught up in the number, like you said. So what would
Mhm.
be some things that we should look out for? What are some of those non-scale victories we should look out for? Before you answer, if you guys are here, feel free to drop a comment below. Just say
Mhm.
hey
Yep.
and share any non-scale victories that you guys got.
Right.
Let's
Yes.
go.
Please share. Get it going. Yeah. No, there's so many to celebrate, and they can be big, and there's nothing too small. So you could start with like better skin, maybe a sharper mind. You have healthier coping mechanisms. You're saving money. A lot of times if you're not doing some of the things, more movement, healthier choices, portion management, less bloating. I guess that's a thing. Better mindset and a more positive outlook. That was a lot.
Yeah.
I can name a bunch more, but it's
Yeah,
whatever makes you happy and celebratory.
I feel like the two or maybe the three that we should probably pay attention to, not necessarily the most, but I think that go the most unappreciated
Mhm.
are number one, that our sleep's improved. You know,
Mhm.
I, sleep is such a good indicator of somebody's life. Show me
Mhm.
how well somebody sleeps, I can pretty much tell you how their life is going. And the reason for that is because when you resolve stressors, you sleep better,
Mhm.
right? They say
Mhm.
that you get ulcers not from what you're eating, but what's eating you, right?
Right. Mhm.
And if your sleep's improving, that's a really good indicator that, yeah, some physical things are probably improving, but it's probably your mental space is really improving a lot too.
Mhm.
And that needs to be, accounted for. Like, of course, we all look at the number on the scale because that's what we want to change. Hey, I'm 170 now. I want to be 168 next
Mhm.
week or the week after.
Mhm.
But how's your self-talk improving? And
Mhm.
again, that might seem so trite, so silly. Who cares how I'm talking to myself? Give me the bikini, baby. Help me lose this fat.
Right.
But we know that the key to long-term sustainable weight loss is by getting the mind in the right place. So,
Mhm.
the body follows the mind. You can get your body to a place that you want, but then you wouldn't be able to sustain it unless you got your mind right in the first place. So celebrating the mind, where that's at. Hey, I noticed that I'm less critical of myself these last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Victory,
Huge.
huge victory,
Mhm.
tremendous.
Right.
You have more energy. Why does energy matter? Well, if you have more energy and you're more motivated, you're probably going to be consistent with the actions that are going to help you continually get to where you want to get to.
Right.
So it's these pieces like you're talking about that are just so powerful and making and really giving us a nod we're going in the right direction. and I've said this so many times, but if I had somebody that I'm working with and we work together for 6 weeks, would I prefer that this person loses 10 pounds and their mind doesn't change at all? And all I did was just guilt them into losing the weight. And, like,
Mhm.
whenever they'd fall off, I'd be like, come on, guilt them into it.
Mhm.
Or would I prefer the person that doesn't lose any weight, but their mind is in a better place? They've changed the input that they're
Mhm.
listening to every day. They've distanced themselves from family members that just don't really add to their life. They really just fill it with poison, if you will.
Mhm.
They're starting to listen to podcasts. They're starting to listen to charity, whoever. They're starting to listen to people
Mhm.
that want to see them win, and then also are putting positive new beliefs in their mind. And
Mhm.
by doing that, maybe they haven't lost any weight yet, but it's kind of, think of it like a runway, a plane that hasn't taken off yet, but that has so much momentum going. By the time it does take off, it's going to soar and it's not going to
Mhm.
crash. Whereas instead, if you try to pick a plane off the ground before it's really gained momentum, what happens? Crash, right? It
Mhm.
goes back
Right.
down. We want to make sure, even if it takes a little bit longer for you to get off the runway, baby, you're not coming down this time. We're
Right.
soaring. We're
Mhm.
going. Anyway, that's my big rant. If you guys are here, feel free to drop a comment, say hi, ask a question. Let me know if you have any non-scale victories as well. By the way, aren't Charity and I super cute matching?
This wasn't planned. We don't know where these came from.
Here's the fun fact. These are the same size.
That's funny.
Good stuff.
Very cool.
Okay, so we got a little bit of the what, a little bit of the why. Let's talk about the how. How should we celebrate non-scale victories? Right? I'm sure it's very subjective, right? But how should we celebrate non-scale victories?
I like visuals and I like to make lists because I think sometimes we forget about stuff. So write it down because sometimes since we are so critical on ourselves, we don't think about the things we didn't do. So write down
Yes.
you avoided temptation in the break room. That's a win and that's something to celebrate. And it's huge. And imagine if you added that up at the end of the week and how many calories you're saving. And so I think the writing it down, and people still love stickers. I think we're still all kids at heart. So if you want to put a sticker, I don't know if you want a board that you put the different things on it and it's for you. Like, can you imagine after a week or something, you have a piece of paper probably filled with stickers if you take the
Yeah.
time to celebrate your wins. And if you like to do a happy dance, like, our football players love to do, that's fun too. Just don't get, what is it? You can't get overzealous because then you get like points taken off. I don't know. You can only do it for short time. I'm kidding. But
Yeah.
that's another fun way. And that really helps your body too feel really good about it and connect those things. Movement is always fabulous. So, yeah,
Yes.
any
Yeah,
other
yeah.
way. There's many ways.
Well
Those
said.
are my
I think we
favorite.
we just have to identify, we have to meet ourselves where we are and identify what's going to work for us.
Mhm.
Like me in stickers, like I hear that and I'm like, I'm not going to go to the store and as a 30-year-old man buy stickers and like put them on a now, but that's just me and where I'm at.
Right.
Somebody else might think that too, but for someone
Mhm.
like yourself, it's like, no, that's so cute, man. I love it. Let's do
Mhm.
it. And
Yep.
like put them on the bridge or put them where you're going to see them.
Mhm.
Like, again, just changing the input. I think that's
Mhm.
really powerful. What would be maybe some other ways that we could, or let's talk about some what? What are some ways that we could do as well? Like I know sometimes we feel like the celebration has to be so big or it's not worth doing.
Mhm.
And I think your stickers are such a beautiful representation that it can just be so small. Or even just taking a moment and
Mhm.
acknowledging it, which
Mhm.
again, I think that there's this big disconnect between the tangible and the intangible, right? What we can feel and what's just sitting in our mind. And
Mhm.
we think that if it's not tangible, it's not worth doing.
Mhm.
And I think that's why mindset a lot of the times gets poo-pooed because it's like, okay, I've changed my input, nothing's changed. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a lagging indicator, right? It's lagging. It takes a little time. It's like saying, oh, hey, you have your degree. Are you making all this money from your degree yet? No, you have to get a job. And then, even that's a little more instantaneous because you get paid right away when you get the job versus something
Mhm.
like this.
Do you think it's
But yeah,
also because you can't take a picture of it?
yeah,
You
right.
can't
It
take a
feels
picture of your
less
mindset. You can't show someone, look what I did. This is the before and
yeah,
after. It's that messy during and stuff that is
yeah.
beautiful and messy and all the things and also hard to take a picture of because there's a lot going on that you can't see. But that doesn't mean it's not
Hard to
important.
quantify.
Right.
Yeah, I agree,
Mhm.
hard to quantify.
Yeah.
What would, so when we're thinking about these things, these small things, even just taking a moment, 5, 10 seconds, I was writing up, I just created another resource that I'll be sharing, I believe early next week, talking about just like 4 sustainable steps to transform your body. And, they're probably not what you think.
Mhm.
uh, but or not you, but people watching. And
Mhm.
one of the things I was writing down was like, celebrating those victories, like we're talking about now, and taking that moment. And it seems so corny, just to like after you do something good for yourself, that maybe naturally a week ago you would go somewhere else, you would do something else, something less favorable, to just take 5, 10 seconds and kind of just take that, invisible pat on the back,
Or give
where you're
yourself
like,
a high
oh man,
five.
like whatever it is. And
Mhm.
it seems corny, it seems like,
Right.
oh, it's not going to do anything, but it does,
Mhm.
right? And again, it's all about the neuroscience. If your brain can connect more pleasure to the actions that you're doing than pain, or not even than pain, and little pain, you will
Mhm.
keep them going consistently.
Right.
This is why sometimes having somebody else, and I'm not saying us, but it can be us, but having a mentor or a friend or just somebody to be able to help you identify the positive is
Mhm.
so good and so
Absolutely.
enriching.
Mhm.
Because how many times do we start something that we're trying to like, let's use fitness, we're starting our body transformation journey, we say, all right, I'm going to start working out 3 times a week, I'm going to cut out all the sugar, cut out all the fats, I'm going to start I don't know, going to bed 9 hours a night, I'm going to do all these things. And even though you do 80% right, we tend to focus on the 20% we failed at, and we're like, oh, what's the point? Oh, I
Mhm.
suck. So
Mhm.
if we can just shift, and that equals pain, right? And then when that
Right.
pain happens, it's going to deter us. So
Mhm.
what is it going to take to be able to get more pleasure? Because that's really what we're talking about, right? Celebrating
Right.
these non-scale victories. What is it going to take to really connect something pleasurable to an action? Is it the bubble bath? Is it the
Mhm.
Snickers?
Mhm.
What would be some things that come to mind for you, Charity, that you've done with clients in the past that maybe even just don't resonate with you, but you've seen clients do?
I had one who had a jar, and I think one represented maybe you could use it for your water intake, and then it had an empty glass. And so she just liked to move a marble from one glass to the other. So there was a visual of seeing how much she had to go and then how much she'd already done. I
Wow, that's
don't
really
like two
clever.
glasses in a room, but there's an
Yeah,
option.
you got that
Um,
minimalist. I really like that really quick. I really like that visual. I think, again, if we know that as humans, we like to have this tangible representation of progress. We like to be able to measure progress, and it's hard to
mhm,
measure certain things. I love that. Hey, every time I make a decision, or every time that I do something that is good for me, I'm gonna just put a visual representation on my
mhm.
desk. I fucking love that. That is so
Or
cool.
like a drop of
You
water stuck
know?
in a cup and it just eventually it's overflowing and everything. So yeah, you get to
Right.
see before and after. So okay, I'm glad that one resonated. I mean, you could do it with pennies if you wanted, whatever. I think marbles are prettier. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that
you can
resonates for
confirm with it.
me. I love that. I
Awesome.
love that. That's so cool. Yeah,
Awesome.
and then it's like when you are having those moments of, or those, or like,
Mhm.
oh man, you just look at your desk and you're like,
Mhm.
look at my mark. Like,
Right?
look at
There's the
all
truth.
the,
Like
look,
the truth is sitting there
I,
right in front of you.
right. Like, yeah, hey, I just made a mistake. Or like, even I think it's powerful too, because we're going to have our moments of down. Let's say you do go to the break room, right? Let's just say you're working, you have a desk and you're not on the floor, and like you have your marbles and whatnot, and you do go to the break room, and temptation hits you, you're stressed out, you're having a tough day, it's gonna happen, but you go and you grab that thing, you come back to your desk, you're feeling defeated, but then you remember, yeah, hey, look, yeah, but for that one thing I just did, I have 100 positive.
Mhm.
But the human brain tends to focus on the negative, right? Tends to focus on the one thing we did wrong.
Yeah.
So I think the more that we can just shift back to the positive to get back on the path, because again, if there's anything we're optimizing for with starting this journey, it's starting and never stopping again.
Right.
If no matter how slow you go, if you were to lose zero point 0.5 pounds every single week until you hit your goal, yes, for you, it might take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But imagine if you were in a position where you never gained it back.
Right.
And it doesn't have to take that long, but that's what
Right.
we're optimizing for, starting and never stopping again. And one of the ways you do that is by getting your mind in the right place. And I'm not saying like you just set your mind in the right place.
Right.
It's not a day, it's not a 1 day thing, it's not a weekend
Mhm.
thing, right? Think about it. Your mind is the accumulation of years and years and years and years and years of input and
Mhm.
reinforced by your own thinking. That's why your actions and your results are the way they are. If you want that to change, then we have to change our input. But sometimes it's a slower process, which is why it can help having a coach to reinforce it,
Right.
and then also to help you immediately do the actions, and then have your input and your thinking catch up. As
Mhm.
funny as that sounds.
And don't you think you're kinder if you're doing something from a loving gesture instead of something from a shame or you don't feel good about yourself? Doesn't, I mean, the action might look the same, but the feeling behind it is completely different. They just
Mhm.
think you're more likely to love yourself and to treat yourself well when you love yourself as opposed to when you're feeling less than stellar about it. So it feels good even along the way, even if the scale isn't changing. There's still, oh, I treated myself like a friend today. After I had that thing in the break room that I didn't really want, I still was kind to myself. Oh, you get another marble.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I mean, being kind to ourselves, I mean, that's like, again, it's like going back to our 7-day challenge, right? It's like probably about every 2 months or so, we have a free 7-day RN self-care comeback challenge in the group, and we only focus on 3 actions. And these actions are, number 1, improve our sleep, right? And we increase it by a certain percentage. We don't say, "Hey, you gotta shoot for 8 hours," or whatever. It's just a certain percentage more than you're currently getting, and we talk about that. It's increasing our protein intake. Increase, don't decrease, right? Because as we increase these things, we don't have to worry about depriving ourselves because we're going to want those things less anyway. So that way we can
Right.
quiet the inner rebel, make something more sustainable. But also, the last thing is we talk about improving self talk. Well, hold on a
Mhm.
sec. And all the things that I could focus on, self talk, right? And it goes right
Right.
into the same line that we're talking about. It's not
Mhm.
tangible. Who cares? Just give me
Right.
abs. But I'm sure you
Nobody
would
knows what's going
agree.
on in your head except you, right?
Right. But I'm sure
Right.
everyone listening would agree that it is way more important that after you're done working with a coach, that you never need one again, or after you're done with a weight loss program, you never need one again, than it is that you get to your goal as fast as humanly possible. Because that's what we're here to do. That's what this program and this is what I've really dedicated my life's work to. And when I first started as a coach, I had no idea this is where we'd go. I was the coach in the past that I did not like today. The one that just focuses on fitness nutrition and says, "Oh, if you're not doing it, you just gotta want it more," and all this
Mhm.
silly stuff. When really,
Mhm.
it's all behavioral psychology. It's all psychology. If we can just get our mind in the right place, you win. And
Mhm.
it's not as hard as you think. It just takes time. The things in life that are going to get us to what we want usually are simple.
Mhm.
They're just not easy.
Right.
And when I
Yep.
say they're not easy, I mean it's hard to be consistent sometimes, right?
Mhm. It's a practice.
But it is a practice, but it
And
can
dedication.
feel easy day to day.
Mhm.
But sometimes when we look at it 10 years out, we're like, I can't do this for 10 years. And it's like, well, yeah, anything thinking about it for 10 years, I don't want to do.
Mhm.
Like I feel
Right.
trapped. But if I
Mhm.
just look at something day to day, I'm like, oh, I could do it tomorrow. I can do it the next day, right? A little
And
bit
don't
at a
you think
time.
sometimes too we get stuck, we're getting out of the present. The best place and time to celebrate is in the present moment. And when you're doing forward thinking, oh my gosh, for years, or back thinking, oh, I made all these decisions I wish I hadn't, that kind of completely steals your joy. So imagine if by doing these celebrations, that also keeps us more present, which is going to make us where the happiness is. And just like the
Yes.
progress, not perfection, and all that good, yummy stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Gloria says hello, by the way. Gloria, how are you doing?
Hey.
Hopefully you're having a great Thursday and you're oh, if you guys are here, feel free to say hello. Would love to see you. Would
Mhm.
love to answer any questions that you guys have as normal as well. Summer says, "Love this."
Woohoo!
That's what it's about. Like these chats, a lot of the time, in the same vein of what we've been talking about. Look, a lot of us don't need to be taught something new. Like, yes, is there a missing mechanic that maybe we don't know yet that could help us get over the line and progress faster? Yes.
Mhm.
And maybe that's, something macronutrient related or something specific to the cardio you're doing. Fine. But a lot of the time, we just need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. We
Right.
need to be reminded to prioritize the actions that are foundationally the most important to be able to transform. And we need to be able to get our mind in the right place, right? Kind of think of it like putting gas in the car before you go. It doesn't make sense to try to fill your gas tank while you're driving. Much better to fill your gas tank, get your mind in the right place, then start your journey, right? And you can't do it at the same time. It's just really hard to do alone, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Very hard to do both simultaneously alone because the ups and downs are real. I mean, I know I can talk from client experience. I'm sure you can too, Charity. How many times do you get on a weekly call, an ultimate alignment strategy session with one of your clients, and their weight stayed the same and they're doing everything right?
Mhm.
And they come on feeling defeated. They
Mhm.
come on feeling like, "Man, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my money with you as my coach. Where's the results?"
Right.
But then, of course, that thinking, maybe without a coach, would lead to, "Well, what's the point? I'm not gonna do this," and then they
Right.
stop.
Mhm.
Whereas what we're able to do is just change the perspective, right?
Mhm.
Change the perspective. Shift. Well, hey, look at all these things that are going great. And we're not just like painting a false picture. We're
Mhm.
not going out to our garden that's full of weeds and saying, "Ah, there's no weeds and my life is beautiful and I'm at the goal weight that I want and I can just, it's like, no, we're not telling you to
Mhm.
create a false reality.
Yeah.
We're having you shift your focus to what is real,
Mhm.
but what is the real that is going to serve you and not
Mhm.
pull away from you. Instead of focusing on the 1/10 of your garden that is covered in weeds, we can address that. But look at the 9/10 that are like, look at all this tomato and lettuce and beautiful stuff that's coming.
Mhm.
Focus on that,
Mhm.
feel better, so that we have the mental energy and motivation to deal
With the
with
weeds.
the 1/10 that's broken, right?
Right. Mhm.
Like, again, this sounds so funny, but it's like, yeah, shifting mentality. And that's why having a coach, having somebody that is able, it doesn't even have to be a coach, but like you generally want a coach and somebody who's experienced in this because, they can bring you down a not good path. But it could be a friend that you
Mhm.
trust. It
Right.
could be a significant other, somebody who has just gone through this before and you can, they can like help gear you back, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, sorry, a little ramble
No, I love it's fun. I do get on calls sometimes if they're seriously discouraged and disappointed and stuff, and and then they'll think for a minute and they're like, "Oh wait, no, somebody said I looked thinner at work today, or asked me if I was losing weight, or what about my pants fitting better, or I went on an extra walk because I just had the energy to do it." Oh
there. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
And that's so powerful. And,
Hmm.
and, and it doesn't seem powerful, but what is
Hmm.
the result that it leads to?
You
Or
keep
the
doing
action it
it.
leads to, we'll say.
You
The
keep doing
main,
your healthy habits.
you got it. You stay
Hmm.
on the wagon, if we even want to call it that. You continually playing the game. And you guys probably heard me talk about this before, the difference between playing a finite game and an infinite game. A finite game has an end state, right? When people say I want to lose 20 pounds, that starts as an infinite game. I'm sorry, a finite game. An infinite game is I want to be healthy, right?
Mm.
Healthy you do not achieve. You do not achieve healthy. You maintain healthy. So that game lasts forever. And how
Right.
you approach this game will determine whether or not you ultimately win or lose. So if we're looking to optimize for getting you to your goal and keeping you there forever, we have to play an infinite game, which means we have to start with no end in mind. We have to start with, okay, this is something I'm going to do forever. And that's why it's so important to start with those small actions. I was writing up today, and maybe I'll share it because I feel like it might resonate with some of us. Of
It's kind
course,
of
it
a
might.
lifestyle switch, right? Too, what you're talking about doing as well.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's a lifestyle switch, but what did I do? Oh, I think she just exited out by accident. All right, well, I'm going to show you guys this while her phone might have died. Totally fine. All right, let me show you this really quick because this is what I was talking a little bit about. So it's like connecting exercise to existing habits. If we're going to start something, we, sometimes feel like, all right, we need to do something that is going to get us to our final goal. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. We just need to get started. So if you're trying to connect a new habit, you need to connect it to something that's already existing and then also make it something very, very small. You might say, well, that small habit, 20 squats or 20 jumping jacks, that's not really going to do anything for me. You're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I touched
You're fine.
something.
Yeah, it happens. I'm keeping it alive for us.
All right, of course. I had no doubt.
But yeah, like, oh man, these 20 squats, 20 jumping jacks, that's not gonna do anything to like really to get me to my final goal that quickly. So like, why even do it? And it's not for the 20 squats or the 20 jumping jacks. It's so that you're exercising still 3 months from now. And 3 months from now, you're doing a complete workout. But that didn't start unless we had something that was low pain, high pleasure. And you might say, well, no, but I can start something that's 3 times a week and more intense. Yes, but can you keep it?
Hmm.
And you can start anything with willpower, but you can't rely on willpower forever. I truly do believe that the answer to long term sustainable whatever is over time, you have to get to a place. that your brain connects low pain and high pleasure to the actions. And
Mhm.
more importantly, starts to create an identity around the actions.
Mm.
What is identity? Identity is how we view ourselves.
Wait a minute. Mhm.
Ask yourself, like, who are you?
Mhm.
And then how did you get this identity? You got
Mhm.
it from evidence. For example, if you've gone to the library every day for the last 20 years, you believe you're studious. If you have been active and working out every day or every 5 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever, eating well for the last 10 years, you believe you're fitness minded,
Mhm.
right? If you believe that you, I don't know, always did well in school, you're a good student. Just like the opposite. If all those things were opposite, you believe the opposite about yourself.
Mm.
If you want to believe something new about yourself, you have to collect new evidence. How do you collect new evidence? You do new actions. How do you do new actions? You make them small to start, connecting them to already existing habits, and you connect massive pleasure and minimal pain to them. And then enough actions lead to votes, because every action that we take is a vote for the person we want to be. And when you cast enough votes, you win the election.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if you do one thing wrong. It doesn't matter if you miss one day. Even if you set up a goal that said, hey, look, I'm never going to miss twice. That would mean that every single day you get back on the wagon, the next day you fall off. It would mean you're still on track 50% of the time. What kind of body and life would you have even if you did everything 50% of the time? Probably pretty good.
Mhm.
Now imagine if it was never miss 2 times or never miss after going twice or whatever. You get it. You'd be on 66% of the time or whatever.
Mm.
But like you can start to really paint this picture. If you want to change who you are, you want, oh, sorry, you want to change your results, you have to change your actions. If you want to change your actions, you got to change your thinking. You change your thinking by changing your inputs, right? There is a proven system to this, and you guys can get there. I promise you,
Mhm.
right? Your body is not unique, right? You're unique as an individual. Yes, you're very special, but at the same time, in the last 16 years, I have never, ever worked with someone that we could not get them to where they wanted to be physically. Now, mentally, emotionally, that's a different story.
Mhm.
But physically is not the problem. You can get whatever result you want to get to. Emotionally, of course, there's some stuff you kind of got to deal with there. We're not, going to solve childhood trauma, but there are some things on the surface that we can start to work through so that you feel less resistance and remove headwinds for you getting toward your goal.
Mhm.
So, man, we've been talking 30
Cheers.
minutes. That flew by. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Hey!
Cheers, water.
This is vodka. It's Thirsty Thursday, baby. You know, we start early.
Oh, it's
That's
the last
funny.
day of February. We're in a leap year day. How exciting.
You want to hear something funny? This is the day 4 years ago I met my wife.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Celebration.
that's right. But
Yay.
she didn't know she was my wife at that time,
Well, of
or she
course.
wasn't my wife at that time. That she was going to be my wife. Neither
Right.
did I, though. So it's
Right,
not like I
right.
was going into the date with that type of energy.
Ooh, high expectations.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think we'd be together if I did. Hey, did you? I don't know if you know, but 4 years from now we're going to have a little kid with another one on the way and all this stuff.
Nice. Very fun.
That's yeah. I don't think that would have went well.
Nope. I think it was probably good that you didn't know.
Indeed. With
Very
that
nice.
in mind, is there anything else that you want to finish up with, or is that about good for you there?
When we're talking about mindset, I was having a bad morning. I'll make it like clear today. And I changed the attitude of the whole car. Well, the music did. So I want to say, if you're going to celebrate, play some Casey and the Sunshine Band, kick it old school in the 70s with that Celebrate Good Time song, which I wanted to play, but I didn't know if there was like copyright, right? But
Copyright.
exactly. So, I mean, it's amazing how much that can kind of elevate your mood. And it's something that even you can make the playlist ahead of time when you're in a better space and then always have it available to you and just change the energy. Yay.
Beautiful. Well
Mhm.
said. Yeah, music is a great way to change state.
Mhm.
Awesome, guys. If this was beneficial at all, feel free to like this, comment below, invite friends to the group. Our goal is to impact 100,000 RNs and healthcare workers. It's probably going to take a decade to do. So we're in it for the long haul. And as always, I'll put a link somewhere. If you're interested in working with us, you can apply. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow. Enjoy the day. Bye.